Look at him, eating whatever he wants, never gaining a pound, while I'm stuck with the boring special and can't lose an ounce.
How's your lunch, man?
Amazing. Yours?
So good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Cool, buddy.
Weight loss isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that can fix your frustration with food.
So, same time next week?
No!
Definitely.
And your friends. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised.
My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Today, I'm discussing the disappearance of Lauren Spierer. On the 13th anniversary of Lauren going missing, her family took to their Facebook page for her case to write, quote, "The incessant state of not knowing is exhausting. Knowing that there is not a single piece of evidence is exhausting. Knowing that Lauren's case hinges on hearsay is exhausting." End quote. This is the disappearance of Lauren Spierer. On the night of Thursday, June 2nd, 2011, 20-year-old Lauren Spierer was doing what a lot of college kids do in their spare time. She was getting ready to go out with some friends to her local bar with her fake ID in hand. She gets dressed in a white tank top, white blouse, and black pants. While it's officially summer and many of her friends have a few months off from grueling classwork, Lauren is enrolled in a summer class at Indiana University Bloomington, or IU. She's determined to work in the fashion industry, and is squeezing in her credits as a junior before heading back to her home state, New York, for an internship. Despite being from Scarsdale, Lauren has some pretty solid roots in Indiana. As life would have it, many of her friends she met at a summer camp in Pennsylvania when they were younger chose to attend IU as well, including her boyfriend of 2 years, Jesse Wolfe. Lauren really is that girl. She's beautiful, smart, and outgoing. Her roommate, Hadar Tamir, told ABC News that she's the girl everyone falls in love with after meeting her. But Lauren isn't all work. She likes to sprinkle in some partying, which is what IU was known for at this time. And Lauren really lives at the center of it all. Her apartment complex, Smallwood Plaza, is in the center of the city, and just a few minutes from campus and really all the major popular hangouts. So Lauren's getting ready for really what sounds like just a typical night out, when she gets a text from one of her friends from camp, Jay Rosenbaum. He has a plan for the night. He tells Lauren to come over to his place to pregame before heading out to Kilroy's Sports Bar, aka Sports. From what I can gather, it's your typical cheap college bar that's known for letting fake IDs like Lauren's slide. So Lauren, along with another friend of hers who lives in the same apartment complex, David Rohn, make the about 5-minute walk to Jay's place at 5 North Townhomes. They get there a little after midnight. And the pre-gaming is really more like a full-blown party. There's a ton of people there, and Jay is already drunk. He has reportedly taken 6 to 10 shots of vodka. So it's definitely not a let's have a drink or two to save money at the bar type of situation. But while at Jay's, Lauren eventually meets up with a man and fellow student that she met the weekend prior at the Indianapolis 500 event. His name is Corey Rossman, and at some point they leave Jay's and head to his place for about an hour. After that, they walk the few blocks to Sports and get there at 1:46 a.m. At this point, Lauren is clearly very intoxicated. According to journalist and author of College Girl Missing about Lauren's case, Sean Cohen, she wasn't only drinking. At some point, she also bought Klonopin and Xanax, and she was also doing cocaine. But Corey continues buying drinks for himself and Lauren, and at 2:27 a.m., they leave sports to go back to Lauren's apartment complex. She leaves without her phone and without her shoes, but still walks the 2 blocks home. And what happens next is captured on video surveillance. Lauren and Corey are seen entering the lobby and using the elevator to get to the 5th floor, where Lauren's apartment is. But when they step off the elevator, they're met by a group of men. Again, Lauren is still visibly intoxicated and losing her balance, so the men ask if she's okay. Corey answers for her and basically says he's got it, he's gonna take care of her. But I think we all know how this situation looks. Lauren is barefoot and barely standing on her own. The men tell Corey that he basically needs to do the right thing and make sure that she gets home safe. But Corey doesn't appreciate this. He begins cursing and basically says, "Mind your business." And then one of the men punches Corey in the jaw, which knocks him to the floor. But for some reason, despite being really close to Lauren's apartment, she doesn't make it home. She's seen on surveillance video 12 minutes later leaving through the front door of the lobby with Corey, and she still doesn't have any shoes on. She never made it to her apartment. She's stumbling and makes it about a block before she tries to take a break. She attempts to sit down on a set of steps, but falls and hits her head on the sidewalk. Surveillance captures her falling 2 times after this, dropping her purse, student ID, and keys along the way. He's also reportedly seen making a phone call during this time, but the woman that he called says that she doesn't remember what the call was about. Finally, Corey just picks Lauren up and carries her over his shoulder to his apartment. Here, they're greeted by Corey's roommate. And it really seems like a big mess. Corey throws up, his roommate helps him, and then the roommate tries to get Lauren to sleep on the couch, but she's adamant that she wants to go back home. At 3:30 a.m., this roommate calls Lauren's friend Jay from earlier in the night, and he asks if he can bring Lauren to his place. Jay agrees. And when they get to his place, he can't help but notice that Lauren has a fresh bruise under her eye. He does ask about it, but Lauren says that she can't remember where she got it. And when Lauren gets to Jay's, she still wants to go home. She continues to insist. And while Jay does try to get someone else to take Lauren home, he ultimately decides to let her walk the about 2.5 blocks home alone at around 4:30 a.m. He says he watched from his balcony as Lauren walked barefoot towards her apartment complex, and eventually out of sight. And despite there being a security camera that should have captured Lauren walking home, she's never seen in that footage or any other. Jay watching Lauren walk away is the last reported sighting of her. This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice. A few hours after Lauren Spierer was last seen, her boyfriend of 2 years, Jesse Wolfe, calls her phone, but there's no answer. According to reporting by Indianapolis Monthly, Jesse lived in a house just north of campus, and he spent the previous night at home and went to bed at about 2:30 a.m. So he really has no idea what's going on at this point. He just knows that Lauren isn't answering her phone, so he texts and he calls again and again and again, until finally someone picks up. But it's not Lauren. It's an employee from sports, the bar Lauren was at the night before where she left her phone. So Jesse tries Lauren's roommate, Hadar Tamir, but she hasn't seen Lauren either. This seems to be when they realize that something is seriously wrong. It's college, and partying and staying out all night really isn't anything abnormal. In fact, according to reporting by ABC News, Lauren had been arrested for public intoxication 9 months prior to going missing. But it wasn't like Lauren to just blow everyone off. So Jesse and Hadar meet up. It seems that Hadar was away from the apartment she shared with Lauren at the time. So she gives Jesse a key so he can take a look around, but he doesn't find anything. Finally, at 4:30 p.m., Lauren is reported missing to the Bloomington Police Department. Lauren's parents, Charlene and Robert, are also notified. They're still in Scarsdale when they get a call from Lauren's sister, Rebecca. She tells them friends have reported Lauren missing. And they immediately call Lauren's boyfriend, Jesse, who's at the police station at that moment. Once they get a little more information, their first thought was maybe Lauren had a health complication that landed her in the hospital. See, Lauren has a heart condition called long QT syndrome. Basically, her heartbeat can become irregular, which can cause things like fainting or for her heart to stop entirely. So they start calling local hospitals to see if maybe Lauren is there, but none report treating Lauren that day or the night before. So her parents book a flight out to Bloomington for the very next day. Overall, the response to Lauren going missing is huge, both by law enforcement and the media. Lauren was young, successful, beautiful, and from a very affluent family. She gets the response every missing person should be so lucky to receive. Immediately, there are massive searches for her, with hundreds of volunteers scouring the area for any trace of her. They even call in the National Guard to help with the search. And of course, once the immediate area is searched, they expand to more remote areas like farms, the woods, and have dive teams search Lake Monroe. The Herald Times runs the first story about Lauren, and that starts a huge snowball effect. Essentially, the media just swarms the area surrounding her apartment. Her story is soon featured on The Today Show, USA Today, CNN, and the London Daily Mail. Her case basically blows up. Before long, people like Ryan Seacrest, author Nicholas Sparks, Kim Kardashian, and Stephen Colbert share her case as well. There are also a ton of blogs popping up dedicated to discussing Lauren's case, including one called Jay Rosenbaum Needs to Talk. Her family also advertises a $100,000 reward for information leading to Lauren. Law enforcement, the media, and her family are literally doing everything they can at this point. And I think that this is part of why Lauren's case has become somewhat infamous in the true crime space. There are countless witnesses who saw Lauren right up to when she went missing. The response for her was above and beyond what most missing person cases receive. And they just had nothing. There was no trace of where Lauren could have gone or what happened to her, but they do immediately suspect foul play. During a press conference at Bloomington Police Headquarters on June 7th, Lieutenant Bill Parker says, quote, "When somebody at 4:30 in the morning, no shoes, and has earlier been drinking, goes out and then just disappears off a street corner, we feel like there certainly could be foul play involved." End quote. That night, police obtained and presented a search warrant at the Smallwood apartment complex. They were there to obtain any possible security footage related to Lauren's disappearance. And when they find that the door to the security office was locked, they bring in a battering ram to break it down. Again, it's just really intense. But we know how these things go. As they are physically searching for Lauren, investigators are also trying to piece together a timeline of her whereabouts and put together lists of potential witnesses and potential persons of interest. And it's really kind of a mixed bag in Lauren's case. A lot of people seem to be scared or possibly hiding something. Only one of Lauren's friends goes to the police to tell them what they know, and some outright refuse to take a polygraph test. Now, I always feel that I need to add my mandatory disclaimer here. We know polygraph tests aren't exactly reliable, and it really is in anyone's best interest, guilty or not, to refuse to take one, and to also seek legal advice when they're in a situation like this. But of course, these legalities and technicalities don't comfort Lauren's family. They want to find her, and it's really upsetting to hear that her friends aren't cooperating with all the investigators' demands. They are especially concerned about Corey Rossman. He quickly obtained a lawyer who claimed that because Corey, quote, got his clock cleaned, end quote, referring to being punched in the face, he has no memory of what happened shortly before the altercation and no memory of what happened after. On June 9th, 2011, The Today Show aired the following interview with Corey's lawyer, Carl Salzman.
Police have pored over surveillance videos taken at Spiere's apartment building the night she vanished and are speaking to as many as 10 people described as persons of interest. According to police, the video shows an altercation about 2 hours before Lauren went missing.
All of our information, including video and interviews, indicates that Lauren was not involved in any altercation.
But Corey Rossman, the fellow Indiana University student Lauren was with, apparently was.
He was basically, he got his clock cleaned.
Rossman's attorney, Carl Salzman, says his client was hit hard in the face and now has no memory at all of what happened that night.
The injury to his head significantly affected his memory, not only from the time forward, but, 15, 20 minutes prior to getting hit.
Following the fight, Salzman says Lauren assisted Rossman back to his apartment in this nearby building. She then reportedly spent time partying with other friends before heading home alone at 4:30 in the morning and disappearing.
He's 3, 4, maybe even 5 people away from being the last person to see her.
Lauren's mother and father, who are here from New York, continue to urge searchers not to give up hope.
Anything small could be big.
Salzman says despite the head injury causing memory loss, his client did not seek medical attention. But he adds that Corey Rossman is cooperating fully with police.
So, in the first about 2 weeks of Lauren's case, there are major searches for her and a ton of media, but not a lot of cooperation with law enforcement, and really not a lot of movement until June 15th, 12 days after Lauren went missing. This is when police released video footage of a white pickup truck to the public. While scouring video surveillance of the area looking for any trace of Lauren, investigators notice this white truck that looks like it's circling the block. It appears in the frame twice in footage from the early morning of June 3rd, but they can't identify it. They know that it's not new, maybe a couple years old. And while there is a logo on the side, they can't see it clearly enough to identify it. And I think most concerning of all, it looks like there's something in the truck bed. But like with the logo, the footage is just too rough to be able to see what it is. But obviously, they want to find this truck and the driver immediately. And after releasing the footage to the public, they get a massive response of over 500 tips, and one actually leads them to the driver. But after speaking with him and comparing his statements to the footage along with corroborating witness statements, they discover that he wasn't circling the block and had a verified reason to be there. He was picking up an employee at Lauren's apartment complex. The driver is cleared of any involvement in Lauren's disappearance.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head. From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing is rare for the Keys. Any leads on who they might have been running for?
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
After searching the immediate area and expanding the search to more rural areas, investigators don't find anything that can point them to where 20-year-old Lauren Spierer may have gone. So in August, they expand their search to a local landfill. A last resort kind of search that I imagine no family is thrilled to hear about. At this point, they aren't searching for Lauren alive. They're looking for her remains. They dig through over 4,000 tons of garbage in 9 days, but nothing related to Lauren is found. They really investigate a ton of tips in the first few weeks and months after Lauren is reported missing. But again, just nothing was found. They also execute more search warrants, including for the residences of Lauren's boyfriend Jesse, Corey Rossman, and Jay Rosenbaum. By September, Lauren's family hires a private investigator named Bo Dietl. He's kind of a flashy guy. He's a retired NYPD detective turned PI/actor/private security. In the 90s, he was the head of security for Jordan Belfort, aka the Wolf of Wall Street. In 1998, his autobiography, One Tough Cop, The Bo Dietl Story, was made into a movie, and his role was played by Stephen Baldwin. He also played the cop who arrests Henry Hill in Goodfellas, and played himself in the Wolf of Wall Street movie just 2 years after being hired by Lauren's family. So again, he's a big deal. And he makes some pretty big waves immediately. On the 23rd, he appears on the show Good Day New York, where he likens the Bloomington police chief to Gomer Pyle. This is after they declined to share information about Lauren's case with him. Though I do think it's worth noting that he did later apologize for this statement, saying his, quote, passion outweighed a common-sense outlook on what should have been done, end quote. By November, it's announced that Jay Rosenbaum has spoken with authorities, given a DNA sample, and complied with a polygraph test. And Lauren's parents tell Indianapolis Monthly that they believe Jay was, quote, pretty frank with them, end quote. Robert adds, quote, we've met with 2 of the boys, Jay and Jesse. One of the other boys flat out refuses to speak with us or to the private investigators, and that's Corey Rossman, end quote. But the holidays come and go without Lauren or any news of where she may be, and on January 17th, 2012, Lauren misses her 21st birthday. The following month, the reward for information about Lauren increases from $100,000 to $250,000. This includes a $10,000 pledge from the owner of the Indianapolis Colts football team. And then, in April, Corey Rossman finally speaks out. In an email to Indianapolis Monthly, he wrote, quote, I do not normally talk to reporters at all, because of the exact reason of the lies that are being spread about me in articles such as those which just came out past few days. If you have some way to prove my name wouldn't be slandered, and what I say actually gets across, and I am not portrayed in the terrible light the lying, slanderous people connected to this case have portrayed me in, then I'll consider talking to you. Otherwise, I have nothing to say, and you can refer all questions to my lawyer, Carl Salzman." End quote. So, despite this statement, it's pretty safe to say that Corey still isn't talking. But just over a week later, on May 3rd, the Bloomington police made an announcement that shifted the focus away from Corey Rossman. They tell the public that they're looking into a man named William Clyde Gibson III from New Albany, about 2 hours south of Bloomington. In March, just 2 months before this announcement, Gibson killed and sexually assaulted 35-year-old Stephanie Kirk before burying her in a shallow grave in his backyard. And in April, he did the same to 75-year-old Christine Wittes, who was his deceased mother's best friend. But unlike Stephanie Kirk, Gibson never buried her, and his sister later found Christine Wittes in his garage and called police. After a short police chase, Gibson was arrested. Now, because they are solved murders that don't really need our help, I don't want to go too far into detail about how these women died, but it was brutal and just really sick. Following his arrest, he confessed to a third murder from 2003, the murder of Karen Hodella. Gibson even had the date he killed her, October 10th, 2002, tattooed on his arm. So for obvious reasons, authorities felt compelled to investigate him in relation to Lauren's case. But as far as I could find, nothing really came of it. In 2013, he was sentenced to 65 years in prison for the murder of Karen Hodella, and was given the death sentence for the murder of Christine Wittes. In 2014, he was again sentenced to death for the murder of Stephanie Kirk. While he did appeal his death sentences, they were both upheld, and as of late 2024, he was still awaiting execution. He has never been connected to or confessed to any crime related to Lauren Spierer. By the time the 1-year mark of Lauren going missing came and went, investigators were still getting a lot of leads, just none that led to Lauren. The following June, Lauren's parents sued Corey Rossman and Jay Rosenbaum in civil court. They argued that both men were negligent, and their behavior directly resulted in Lauren's disappearance and death. At this point, they do believe that Lauren is deceased. But of course, their lawyers fight back. They argue that Lauren was an adult in charge of her own actions, and that there's no proof that she's deceased. Ultimately, everything was dismissed by the judge. Lauren's case goes pretty quiet after this, though the leads are still coming in. Then in April 2015, investigators discover a case eerily similar to Lauren's. 22-year-old Indiana University student Hannah Wilson was out celebrating her impending graduation with some friends, and during that celebration, she finds herself at Sports, the same bar Lauren was at the night she went missing. Like Lauren, Hannah also gets very intoxicated. Her friends put her in a cab to send her home, but the next day she's found deceased about 10 miles from the Bloomington campus. A man named Daniel Messel is arrested 4 days later for her murder. And here's the thing. Investigators say that Messel had a long history of sexually assaulting women dating back to at least 2012, the year after Lauren went missing. And all of these assaults happened close to Smallwood, Lauren's apartment complex. But just like what seems like every other lead in this case, investigators were never able to link him to Lauren. He is currently serving an 80-year sentence for his crimes. And really, that's the last major lead in Lauren's case to this day. Despite a massive amount of resources being poured into Lauren's case, the theories about what may have happened to her are seemingly endless. Was she harmed by one of the men that she was with that night? Was she the victim of a stranger abduction and foul play? Did she accidentally overdose? These are the questions that have plagued her loved ones and investigators for over a decade now, and countless people have spent hours debating these theories and possible persons of interest. Former FBI cold case agent Brad Garrett, who worked with private investigators hired by Lauren's parents, does believe drugs likely played a role in Lauren's disappearance. quote, either in her own demise or because it placed her in harm's way because she was so impaired, end quote. Of course, there's no denying that there's a spotlight on the men Lauren was last seen with that night, and even on her boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe. Lauren's parents told ABC News that while he helped with searches for Lauren early on, his parents eventually took him from the scene, which Lauren's father has described as odd. Now, as far as we know, Jesse Wolfe wasn't with Lauren on the night that she went missing, and spent his night watching the NBA Finals. His roommate told police that he went to bed at about 2:30 a.m. In interviews, Lauren's friends described Jesse as, quote, the most loving boyfriend, end quote, and many do not believe he was involved in her disappearance or could have harmed her. But Brad Garrett asserted that while he wasn't suggesting that Jesse did anything, he's, quote, not comfortable that he actually knows what he was doing in the early morning hours of June 3rd, end quote. Police did obtain DNA from Corey Rossman, and he's given few interviews about Lauren's case. In 2011, he did say he was not the last person with Lauren. He's sorry he can't say more, and he hopes that she's found. But Lauren's father still has questions, telling ABC News, quote, I'm not sure of anything, but what I do know is there's been a complete lack of cooperation, and he was the person who spent the most time with Lauren in the last hours of her being seen, end quote. When reporters from ABC 2020 tried to reach out to Corey Rossman, he threatened to sue any reporter who followed him through a gate entrance, and his attorney remains firm that his client has and continues to cooperate with police. Jay Rosenbaum maintains that he has and continues to cooperate with police as well. Over the years, there have been slews of accusations, possible jailhouse confessions, and an endless stream of tips. In the end, we don't know what happened to Lauren Spierer, but we do know the impact of her disappearance. In 2012, Governor Mitch Daniels signed the Indiana Lifeline Law, inspired by Lauren. This essentially grants immunity to anyone who calls authorities to provide medical assistance to someone who's intoxicated. Basically, the caller won't get in trouble for things like public intoxication or drinking underage. The Bloomington Police Department still highlights Lauren's case. On the 10-year anniversary, they posted an almost 4-minute video to their Facebook page, urging people not to forget about her case and to please keep sharing her information. Lauren's family also continues to fight for answers for her. They launched and continue to maintain social media accounts for her case, as well as a website, findlauren.com. They post on her birthday, on the anniversary of her going missing, and talk about how much they miss her on a regular basis. Lauren has clearly left a huge hole in the lives of her loved ones. On the main page of her website, you can find a message from her mom, Charlene. It says, quote, if you are reading this, you have most likely been introduced to Lauren. Whether you watched a show, listened to a podcast, read a blog, saw something on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you may know her story. I never expected to see October without Lauren. I never expected to feel the change of seasons. When the initial searches began, someone said searches for Lauren would be easier once the leaves fell, and the fields of summer crops have been cleared. Once hunting season begins, virtually another source of searchers would come into play. I guess you've known all along we would still be searching for Lauren on this fall day. It's inconceivable that I wrote those words in October 2011. We are still no closer. We are still without answers. We are still searching now almost 10 years later. How soon will it be 20 years later? The time ebbs and flows with no notice of a family who has lost someone. It seems like only yesterday someone offered Rob a pair of pants, noticing his legs ripped to shreds from searching deep in the forests of Indiana. It seems like only yesterday Rebecca received the call telling her that her sister was missing. It seems like only yesterday I honestly thought I could ask for help from people who knew what happened to Lauren, and they would willingly come to our aid. But I was wrong. They never came. If you are reading this, you have most likely been introduced to Lauren. I end as I began on June 3rd, 2011. If anyone has information about the disappearance of our daughter, Lauren Spierer, please contact us. We continue to search for answers, as always, hoping today is the day. End quote. Which brings me right to our call to action. Please share Lauren's case, and please support her family on social media. I know that there is an endless list of cases that need help and need attention, and that Lauren has received more than most. But as a family member of a missing person, I can tell you that it will never feel like enough coverage. It will never feel like enough people are talking about your loved one until you're able to bring them home. Lauren still needs our help, so please share. As a reminder, Lauren Spierer was 20 years old when she went missing on the morning of Friday, June 3rd, 2011, from Bloomington, Indiana. She was last seen at 11th Street and College Avenue wearing black pants, a white tank top, and a white blouse. She is white with blonde hair and blue eyes. At the time of her disappearance, she was 4'11" and weighed 95 pounds. Anyone with information is asked to call the Bloomington Police Department at 812-339-4477. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time. Voices for Justice is hosted and produced by me, Sarah Turney, and is a Voices for Justice media original. If you love what we do here, please don't forget to follow, rate, and review the show in your podcast player. It's an easy and free way to help us and help more people find these cases in need of justice. Welcome to the Secret After Show. The door is open and our emotional support puppies Popcorn and Heber are in the room. There's also some construction next door, so you might hear a little something. But that's what the after show is for, right? It's all about being real. Now, as far as what's going on with me, I just want to remind you about the Season of Justice Jog for Justice event. I do have a team. I am raising money. I talked about it last week if you want to learn more, or you can go to seasonofjustice.org to learn about all the amazing things that the org does. But I wanted to thank a few people who have either signed up as a team member or donated to the cause. That is Marnie, Amber, Britt, and Emily. Thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot to me. I do have some other exciting news. So the morning that this episode airs, I went on the Today Show. I did a live segment at 4 a.m. my time, which is crazy, but I was so happy to do it because I was asked by TikTok to, essentially be a part of the media to help launch their Amber Alert program. I'm getting emotional. I always get emotional in the after show, you guys. Sorry. Basically, they approached me, and while they rolled out kind of a pilot program in Texas last year from August to December, they have decided to expand this pilot program of Amber Alerts inside of the TikTok app to everywhere in the U.S. To, I think it's something like 170 million Americans will be getting these alerts. So they reached out, they said, will you make a video? Are you willing to do some media to talk about the program? And I, of course, said yes. I also said, I feel like I have been like an unofficial lobbyist for TikTok for so long in terms of raising awareness in true crime. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to have been a part of that, to help announce it, and to just partner with TikTok. It feels very official. This is also, they're working with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who I've been in contact with, and it's just really cool. To be honest, I turned down a lot of opportunities in true crime because they don't feel right to me. I'm very picky about what I do, and that's by design. I know that yeah, I always get so uncomfortable when I feel like I'm like in. Sorry, a car alarm went off. It's basically a construction zone outside of my house, but I wanted to get this after show done with the latest updates about what's going on, especially with the TikTok rollout. But essentially, what I was saying is, I take these partnerships and working with people very seriously. And while it makes me uncomfortable to say things like, I know people look up to me in this industry, I do because they tell me. So it's really, really cool and really nice to get a partnership like this that feels so organic and natural to me. Like, obviously, TikTok has changed my life. TikTok changed my sister's case forever. And I really believe in the power of it. So this was basically like a match made in heaven for me. I do believe dearly in this program. I have no doubt that it will result in many kids coming home. So yeah, I was just really excited and I think it's really cool. And please let me know what you think. Let me know if you see an Amber Alert. Let me know if you share it. Please do share it. Of course, I have to say that. But I'm excited to see what comes next and would love to know what you think. But let's move on to the case. Now, I know I've talked about this aspect before of why I do choose to cover larger cases as well. But in case you missed it, so much of what guides me in true crime comes from my personal experience. And while, my aim isn't to like call people out or whatever, I do want to talk about my negative experiences and how they've shaped how I do true crime because I feel like it's important. And essentially, one thing that really, I guess, to be honest, just hurt me was one time I reached out to a creator I'm sorry, I didn't reach out to the creator. Somebody else reached out to the creator on like social media. I basically like got sent a screenshot. They said, hey, you should cover the case of Alyssa Turney. Her sister's working so hard, blah, blah, blah. And the creator basically said, that's a really big case. It's been covered a lot. I don't think Sarah needs any help. And I'm in this weird mix of I'm a creator and I'm a family member. And that makes it so I can see both sides. I have the best of both sides and the worst of both sides. It's just like a unique place to be in. So on one hand, I get it. If you have criteria for your podcast, you only cover lesser known cases. I respect that 100%. I really do, especially now as a creator. I'll admit less so as a family member. It was definitely harder to understand. But in that moment, I couldn't understand that. I felt like my sister's case needed a ton more coverage, and to be fair, she had gotten quite a bit of coverage at that point. But in my mind, I thought, she's not home. This case isn't solved. We need to bring Alyssa home, and I need to keep getting coverage until that happens. So it hurt my heart, to be honest, and that's why I cover cases like Lauren Spierer. I know that it has been around. It's been talked about by countless people in true crime. But I do think that there's power in having so many different people talk about these cases. So essentially, I guess that's my way of saying, this podcast was designed to have a super low bar to entry. If a case is unsolved, it needs justice, and can benefit from media coverage, I'm going to try to cover it. Of course, I do unfortunately have a never-ending list of cases that I'm trying to get to, but that is basically the criteria. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how small it is. I really don't even care if I can make a full-length episode on it. I want to help. So that's a little inspiration of why I choose to cover, these seemingly larger-than-life cases like Lauren's. Now, I do want to talk about victim blaming in this episode and, or I'm sorry, in this case, and also just like victim blaming in general in true crime. You know, it's like I've seen Lauren get a lot of crap for what she was doing that night. And while I can't sit here and say I condone mixing drugs and alcohol, I'd be a big fat liar if I said I didn't do the same at her age and didn't see pretty much everyone around me doing the same thing. And I also went to a school that was, really well known for partying, ASU. And the thing is, like, I just don't think one night of partying, even a stint of partying, of, experimenting in college, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that that's a reason someone, deserves to go missing. No one deserves to go missing. And no one certainly should stay missing. It's similar to the other cases I cover of people, battling substance use disorder. They deserve to be looked for, and so does any intoxicated college student. Like, literally, if we stopped talking about intoxicated college students who go missing or have terrible things happen to them, I think it would be a huge disservice to these cases. So again, it's like a hard line to walk, right? Because I don't want to say that doing these things, is healthy or okay or condone it, but also it shouldn't be a reason for you to shy away from these cases. I think most people in their lives have a bad day, a series of bad days, and that doesn't mean that they don't matter. But I think I'm over-explaining what you guys probably already know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, again, I was up at 4 a.m. It has been a long day, so let's scoot right on to the hero of the episode. I picked law enforcement and the media. I think it should go without saying that 9 times out of 10, the family is always going to be a hero. I do think that her family did amazing work and invested a lot of resources into trying to find their daughter. But I was specifically impressed in Lauren's case with law enforcement and the media. I mean, my goodness, like the security door being locked and then they got a battering ram and broke down the door. Like, it certainly did feel dramatic, and I do have some more questions there. But you can't question the dedication the Bloomington PD had to this case, and seemingly has. Of course, always defer to, the parents, to the family, to see what they feel about law enforcement. But from an outside perspective, looking at the media, they poured a lot into Lauren's case. And the same can go for the media. And specifically, it was hard to name 1,000 heroes in this episode, but all these creators and celebrities and whatnot that featured her case. It's just a really cool thing to see, and I wish we saw it more often. But let's move on to our segment of hope. And you guys, this one's a little bit different, all right? Don't come for me. This is from Reddit, and it's not an official news report, but the, poster did provide pictures. So I'm going to suspend my typically pretty strict rules in terms of sources for this one, because it does seem like it was resolved in an hour. And I'm assuming that that's the reason it didn't spark any media. But this is Reddit. It could be fake. I choose to believe that it's real. And as far as I could find, I didn't see anybody in the comments saying that this was a double post or, calling BS on this person. Again, you guys, it could be fake. It is Reddit, but there are pictures, there's proof, there's, 90,000 upvotes, and I think it's worth talking about. I choose to believe that it's real. So this is from the Made Me Smile subreddit from a user named Tankman714. And the title is "My Dog Saved a Little Kid." Oh, you guys know how I'm with dogs. I'm going to try my best to keep on track here. So the post reads, "I was gaming on my PC yesterday afternoon when my golden retriever, who never barks, started losing her mind in a panic and barking like crazy while looking out the front window. I then saw an almost 3-year-old boy walking up to my neighbor's driveway and into their backyard. No one was home at that house, so I asked my other neighbor, who has young kids, if he knew the boy, which he didn't. Him and I tried to talk to the kid, who was not speaking and would just shrug. We asked another neighbor if he knew anything or had seen the kid, to which he had not. Those two guys took the kid up the street asking around while I went to get my phone and dial 911. When I called after saying my location and that I found a kid, the operator quickly asked what clothing he was wearing, and after I confirmed, she yelled to someone they found him. 2 officers were there in under 60 seconds. The boy had gone missing about 30 minutes earlier off a fairly busy road about half a mile away. From what the officer said, the family was extremely relieved. 2 female officers came to my house about 15 minutes later to finish up the report, to where I informed them of my amazing doggie's actions, to which they had my dog come out on the porch with them and gave her all the pets and scratches and told her how amazing she is. If it weren't for my dog barking like hell just opened up, who knows if that young boy would have ever been found. So thankful to my amazing doggie. She is absolutely amazing and I love her so much. A picture of the hero doggie is also attached. Ooh. And like I said in the post, they do have pictures. It looks like a fire truck and then 2 police vehicles, along with another huge fire truck and an ambulance. And then, of course, the second picture is the golden retriever, the hero. So yeah, I mean, this makes our segment of hope because it's another one of those stories where somebody saw something and they said something and did something. I mean, unfortunately, I could absolutely see somebody looking out their window, seeing a small kid, and kind of shrugging it off, even if their dog was barking. So, I like to bring these. I've done these before too with the segment of hope here, where it's a case that's solved very quickly with almost just like common sense. Because I do think it's important to remember that most kids who go missing do make it home safe. So when you see these cases, when you see kids, young people, whatever going missing, I just think that there's always reason to have hope. But as always, thank you, I love you, and I'll talk to you next time.